It's one. It's one. A lot more to come. Shout out our fans. Absolutely incredible. Thank you guys for showing up, showing love to all my teammates. We appreciate you. More to come.
Game 1 is officially in the books for the Indiana Fever, and wow, what a ride. This was definitely a tale of two halves. Let's start from the top. Early on, it felt like the offense was completely out of sync. Like a group of players who either hadn't played much together or were still trying to figure each other out. It was clunky, disjointed. Possessions lacked rhythm, ball movement was stale, and they missed a bunch of bunnies that had fans pulling their hair out. Now, defensively, not perfect, but you could already see improvement from last season. A few miscommunications on switches and some open looks left unattended, but overall, it was the defense that kept them in it early while the offense found its footing. Big shout out to Clark and Kelsey Mitchell for setting the tone when things looked shaky. And Lexi Hull? She came in and gave them exactly the energy boost they needed. Massive impact. But man, one thing they've got to clean up, and this might give fans some unpleasant flashbacks, is those missed layups. The whole squad struggled finishing around the rim, especially in that first half. And I've got to talk about Aliyah Boston here. She ended up having a solid game overall, so let's be clear on that. But just imagine how dominant she'd look if she converted more of those inside looks. We're talking high-percentage shots inside 5 feet that just didn't drop. Another note, Nalissa Smith was too passive early. And at one point, I looked up and saw Victoria Vivians leading the team in shot attempts, and I just kind of blinked. That's not the offensive balance you want. Sometimes when she's isolated in that mid-post area, she locks into tunnel vision. Now, here's where it turned. That second half. Different team. That's when we started seeing what this Fever group could become. The energy, the passing, the spacing, all much better. Caitlin Clark's passing was flat out ridiculous. Like, highlight real-level dimes left and right. If her teammates had converted even half the missed layups she set up, she could have had a 15 to 20 assist game in her debut.
Think about that.
She did pick up 2 fouls in the first quarter, which was frustrating, and let's not forget Camila Cardoso beating everyone down the floor after the opening tip, and later, Angel Reese doing the same near the end of the first. That's got to be cleaned up. But those moments were fewer and further between after halftime. And when you look at the final box score, it's kind of wild. Indiana shoots lights out 50% from the field and still somehow left a ton of points on the board. Meanwhile, Chicago? They were just locked down. 23, 4, 79 from the field. Under 30%. Just 6, 4, 27 from 3. That's shutdown defense, plain and simple. Angel Reese got her boards, 17 of them, but was inefficient on offense. 5 turnovers, no stocks, steals or blocks, and was clearly frustrated. Ariel Atkins had 11 but was still a minus, 20 on the night. This Fever defense just completely smothered the sky. Final score? 93 to 58. That's a blowout. But don't let the score fool you. This wasn't a wire-to-wire domination. The second half is where they really made a statement. They outscored Chicago 48 to 26 over the final 2 quarters. That's the version of Indiana Fever fans are hoping becomes the norm. So, yeah, early game jitters, some flashbacks to last year's issues, but also a lot of reason to be optimistic. The defense looks real. The chemistry will come. And Caitlin Clark is already throwing passes like a veteran floor general. If you watch this game, then you already know what I'm talking about. Especially early on, man, it was rough. The Fever looked out of sync. The offense had 0 rhythm. Sloppy passes, weird spacing, no real flow. It looked like a team still figuring each other out because honestly, that's what they are right now. And yet, they still won by 35 points. 93 to 58. I don't care what the Chicago Sky turns into this season. That is a professional basketball team full of elite talent, and the Indiana Fever just steamrolled them. That's not nothing. And here's the scary part for the rest of the league. The Fever clearly haven't even hit their stride yet. This wasn't their best. Not even close. They've got a lot to clean up. Missed layups. Miscommunication on defense. Awkward offensive sets. But the upside? It's obvious. And if they start to tighten those screws, watch out. Now, let's talk about two massive milestones from this game. First, WNBA Bonner. Look, she didn't have her best game. Far from it. And I wouldn't say she played poorly either.
It was just flat.
You know those games where you're on the floor, but you never really feel like you're part of it? That was Bonner today. She was out there getting her minutes, but it just didn't pop. Still, late in the game, the moment came. She officially moved into third place all-time on the WNBA scoring list. That's a huge achievement. And even if it took a bit longer than some expected, she got to do it in a fever jersey in front of a sold-out home crowd who gave her a loud, emotional standing ovation. That's special. That's a core memory right there, not just for her, but for the franchise. So yes, this game had its messy moments. It was far from perfect, but it also gave us a glimpse of just how dangerous this Fever team could be once things start clicking, and it gave us a milestone we won't forget. And honestly, we're just getting started. And of course, the other huge storyline tonight was Caitlin Clark doing it again.
Yep.
Another triple-double. And here's what's so wild about it. For about 2/3 of the game, it really didn't look like that was where it was heading. You could feel it. Caitlin just couldn't quite find her rhythm. The offense wasn't flowing through her the way it usually does. It didn't seem like they were calling a ton of sets for her, and the pace? Honestly, slower than I expected. She'd get the ball in transition, and it felt like the wings weren't filling lanes the way they normally do. And you could tell when she did get half chances, she started to press a little bit, trying to force it, just to spark something, to wake up the game for herself and her team. And hey, that happens. She's a competitor. But then, she flipped the switch. All of a sudden, it's like the game opened up, and just like that, Caitlin Clark walks off the floor with her third career triple-double. Unreal. She checked back in late, and unlike Christie's sides from back in the day, Stephanie White had the awareness to say, yeah, she's going back in. And I know people would have gone nuts if she didn't get it, but there were two real reasons for that move. Caitlin wanted to help WNBA Bonner get to that all-time third-place spot on the WNBA scoring list. She was trying to create that moment. And she was one rebound short of the triple-double. Just one. And sure enough, 20 points, 10 boards, 10 assists. Oh, and her shooting?
Clean.
6 of 13 from the field, 4 of 8 from deep, 4 from the line. Add in 2 steals and 4 blocks. Yep, she tied the team lead in blocks with Boston, who had 5. For blocks for Caitlin Clark, y'all. But speaking of Aliyah Boston, we gotta talk about her too.
She started out a little shaky.
Missed a pass from Caitlin, fumbled a couple easy looks around the rim. Looked like one of those early game jitters where it snowballs for a minute. But then she got locked in. And by the time the final horn sounded, 19 points, 13 rebounds, 5 blocks. That's an absolute monster game. And let's talk about those 5 blocks for a second. Boston's not a vertical athlete. That's just the truth. She's not out there jumping over people. But the way she times her contests, her instincts, her positioning, her feel for the game, that's elite stuff. That's IQ over hops. Absolutely phenomenal performance from her today. And I'll be honest, at halftime I was sitting here thinking, okay, this is like a C+ game, maybe a B-. I was ready to come in with a red pen and hand out some midterms.
But now?
I don't even know what I just watched. Because by the end, it felt like 2 completely different teams showed up. And the second one might be the most dangerous team in the league. It sure felt like every time they got the ball, they were making something happen. Well, except WNBA Bonner. And I'm just being honest here. Bonner kinda held them back tonight. 2 of 9 from the field, just couldn't find her rhythm. But listen to the rest of this starting 5 stat line. This is where it gets crazy. Natasha Howard, 6 of 12. Aliyah Boston, 8 of 12. Kelsey Mitchell, 6 of 12. Caitlin Clark, 6 of 13. That's balance. That's efficient. That's what you want from your core group. Now, let's go to the threes. Not a ton of volume from some of the bigs. Howard was 0 for 2, Bonner 0 for 1. But then you've got Boston. Yes, Boston hit a 3. She's 1 for 1 from deep. And I'm telling you right now, if Boston can start hitting that at like 30 to 33%, game changer. That stretches the floor. That turns her into a whole different offensive weapon. It's going to mess with defenses the same way Dana's does. Kelsey Mitchell, 2 for 4 from deep. And Caitlin Clark, 4 of 8. Just cold-blooded. That's her range. That's what she does. And I loved Kelsey Mitchell today. I really did. There's always stuff she can clean up, sure. We can say that about everyone, but her energy was real. Her hustle, especially on the defensive end, stood out. It felt like she came into this season with a renewed focus. Like she processed everything from last year and said, I'm not letting this moment pass. You could feel it. Like, we got a real shot at a title. Let's go. Now listen, shout out to Damiris Dantas too. First game back, right? She hasn't been practicing. She's working herself back into shape post-overseas, and still, she gives you 11 minutes and finishes +9 on the floor. Only 1 for 3 from the field, but it's more about her presence out there. Great to see her in the mix. Oh, and Michaela Timpson got in for 3 minutes, got her first bucket and a couple of free throws. And let me tell you, that bucket was tough. She battled for that one underneath. Good reps for her. That's going to matter long term. But let's talk about Lexi freakin' Hull. Look, 4 of 10 from the field, and no, she wasn't hitting from deep, 0 for 4 from 3, but that's not even what impressed me. 6 of her 10 shots were not threes. She mixed it up. She attacked the rim, pulled up for mid-range looks, drove into contact. She showed variety. And her energy? Classic Lexi Hull energy. She came in the second quarter and just changed the vibe. Like, nope, we're not going flat today. You could feel it shift. And then 9 rebounds. Yes. Lexi Hull, your 6 feet 1 inch guard, pulled down 9 rebounds. Boston had 13, sure. But Lexi was right there in the trenches. Caitlin had 10. Lexi had 9. That's wild. She also had a couple of steals, and she finished the game +23. That is impact. As a team, they shot 46.7% from the field, 35 of 75. That's solid. From 3, 7 of 21. Not amazing. But hey, let's be real. A chunk of that's on Lexi going 0 for 4. We'll give her a pass this time. All in all, it was one of those games where you just saw how deep this team is becoming. The starters carried the load, the bench chipped in, and everyone seems locked in on the bigger picture. Championship vibes? I'm not saying it, but I'm not saying it either. Alright, so let's talk about that wild sequence. We had a blatant flagrant foul involving Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. I'm going to roll the clip, and trust me, I have plenty of thoughts on this one. So here we go. Angel Reese hits the deck, pops up, and immediately starts going after Caitlin Clark with that trademark intensity. Honestly, she looked absolutely fired up, maybe a little too fired up. We'll break that down in a second, but first, let me rewind just a bit, because there's something else I want to highlight. After the foul, Angel Reese gets up, and wait for it, here comes Aliyah Boston. She's right there, stepping in as the voice of reason. You can see her, cool as ever, putting herself between Angel and Caitlin. That's leadership, plain and simple. And look, people have been buzzing about the earlier play. Some folks are saying, hey, what about the shove on Natasha Howard? That never gets called. And honestly, they're not wrong. But before we dive into all that, I want to give a huge shout out to Aliyah Boston. She even picked up a technical for her efforts, but I have zero complaints about that. That's exactly what you want from a leader, stepping up, protecting her teammate, and keeping things from escalating. This is what I mean when I talk about team culture and accountability. Some might say, oh, you can't have players getting involved, but honestly, in moments like this, I think it's absolutely necessary. This right here is exactly the kind of moment I try to explain to people, because every time I bring it up, folks are like, oh, that's dumb. You're just trying to get other players ejected. No, this is why it matters. This is exactly the kind of play that shows why you need someone like Aliyah Boston stepping in. Because who knows where that moment goes if she doesn't intervene. And let's be real, this was Angel Reese. She's clearly got deep-seated jealousy toward Caitlin Clark. That's not me being petty. That's just observation. Her emotional IQ? It's low. She reacts before she thinks, and her impulses take over. I'm not calling her dumb. I'm saying she struggles to control her emotions in the moment, especially when Clark's involved. And look, I just praised Rebecca Lobo recently, but I've got to say it. Nah, Rebecca. Nah, Ryan. That was BS. Total nonsense. You both were way off here. Either you don't know basketball or you're shilling for ESPN trying to hype up some fake rivalry. Because calling that a flagrant foul?
Come on.
That was textbook. That's been a basic, physical basketball play forever. It's not dirty. It's not flagrant. It's literally a you're gonna have to earn these points at the line type of foul. Angel Reese flopped. That's what it was. Aliyah Boston said, nope, not today, and did what every physical big has been taught to do. Make sure there's no N1, no easy bucket.
Period.
And here's the kicker. If the refs didn't call something, we know what the narrative would have been. We'd have to sit through endless hot takes about Caitlin Clark's privilege again. The double standards. The nonsense. Meanwhile, Caitlin's out here getting body checked every other possession and barely getting regular fouls called. But the talking heads and keyboard warriors want to act like this league is supposed to be physical, right? This is the WNBA. You gotta be strong. Caitlin needs to toughen up, they say. Okay, then what are we doing calling this a flagrant? This was a simple, boring, standard take foul. Hit the arms, stop the layup, send M to the line. That's it. That's all it was. Aliyah Boston did what leaders do. Angel Reese had to earn it. And I know some of you are thinking, it's Angel Reese, just let her shoot it.
No.
You never give away free points in a competitive game. You foul, you box out, you move on. So let's stop pretending this was some malicious play. If you think that, either you've never watched basketball or you've got an agenda. And Angel? Acting like she got punched? She knew exactly what she was doing. She knows the media is going to spin it her way. But it was immature. It was over the top. And yeah, she should know better. This whole narrative, it only exists for the old guard of the WNBA. It's being pushed by bitter sports media types who can't handle this new wave of fans, especially Caitlin Clark fans, and, of course, Angel Reese stans who are desperate to create a rivalry that flat out doesn't exist. Let's be real. Reese and Clark aren't even close in terms of basketball skill. Not the same tier, not the same impact, not even the same conversation. Now, let's talk about the play. Basic foul. Straight up. She hit her on the arms, below the waist, mind you, while Clark's arms are still coming up to shoot. That's not dirty. That's not malicious. And it sure as hell isn't a flagrant. That's textbook defense from a big trying to stop an easy layup. But what happens next? Angel Reese jumps up like she's ready to throw hands. Really? Let's be honest here. You're not even coordinated enough to square up. Maybe think twice before pretending you're about that life. Also, weren't you the one jumping up and cheering when Kennedy Carter blindsided Clark? Weren't you the same player who nearly took Caitlin's head off with a wild foul last season? So I'm just asking, was that Angel Reese or not? Because this tough girl act? It's selective, it's performative, and it's insane. Let's stop pretending this is anything but what it was. A routine basketball play that somehow turned into a fake controversy because of media agendas and fragile egos. Period. Caitlin Clark explaining why she fouled Angel Reese.
Walk me through your perspective on the flagrant foul. What was the point you were trying to make to her?
It's just a good take foul, you know? If either Angel gets wide open 2 points or, we send him to the free throw line. Nothing malicious about it. It's just a good take foul. Every basketball player knows that.
Aliyah Boston didn't know she was the person that got a technical foul. When asked about it, she went, wait, I got the tech? CC comments on her flagrant as well.
Kind of go through the little issue there, what happened when you got the flagrant. Aliyah, you got a technical. What kind of happened there?
If you got the tech?
I know. Wait, what?
I got the tech?
Oh,
first of all,
Let's not make it anything that it's not. It was just a good play on the basketball. I'm not sure what the refs saw to upgrade it, and that's up to their discretion after watching initial whatever happened during the play and then whatever happened after. You know, we watch a lot of basketball. It's a take foul to put them at the free throw line. I'd rather give up 2 points. You know, I've watched a lot of basketball in my life. That's exactly what it was. I wasn't trying to do anything malicious. That's not the type of player I am. So, yes, wasn't anything like that. And I went for the ball, and that's clear as day in the replay. You watch it. You know, it shouldn't have been upgraded. But again, that's up to the ref's discretion. But I appreciate AB having my back. I guess I don't even know what she did. I didn't see that.
Well, girl,
If I'm paying that fine.
can I get half? Okay, you can.
I got it.
Oh,
No worries.
perfect.
I want to just talk about what, I mean, in some ways though, plays like that sort of show how